The classroom is supposed to be a place of safety, a place where trust is absolute, where authority exists to protect, not to exploit, where children, especially vulnerable children, are guided, not groomed. But sometimes the danger doesn't come from the outside. Sometimes it's already inside the room. This is the story of a trusted educator, a special education teacher, a soccer coach, a woman tasked with protecting students who relied on adults more than most, and the allegations that would follow her, allegations so severe they would shatter careers, families, and a young life still in the process of forming. Subscribe to Silent Authority for real true crime stories told with honesty, dignity, and respect. This is the case of Christina Formella, and this is a story about power, manipulation, silence, and the long road toward accountability. Christina Formella was not someone most people would expect to see at the center of a criminal courtroom. She worked in education. She worked with special needs students. She was entrusted with children whose learning differences often made them more dependent on adult guidance. She was also involved in athletics, a soccer coach, a mentor figure, someone who held both academic and emotional influence over students. To parents, she appeared committed. To colleagues, she appeared capable. To students, she was an authority figure. But according to prosecutors in DuPage County, Illinois, that authority was systematically abused. The alleged victim in this case was a teenage boy, a minor, a student, a child who, by law and by circumstance, could not consent. Prosecutors allege that the grooming began when the boy was just 14 years old. 14, an age defined by uncertainty, vulnerability, and developing identity, an age where trust in adults is still instinctive. According to the state, Formella began cultivating a relationship that crossed professional boundaries long before it crossed criminal ones. And that distinction matters because grooming does not begin with physical acts. It begins with attention, with favoritism, with isolation, with blurred lines that slowly erase what is appropriate. The prosecution alleges that Formella exploited her position to gain the student's trust. They claim she created opportunities to be alone with him, that she framed the relationship as special, that she normalized behavior that no teacher should ever normalize. This process, according to investigators, unfolded gradually, not in one moment, not in one decision, but in repeated choices that escalated over time, and eventually, prosecutors say, those choices led to sexual abuse. The alleged abuse did not happen in secret locations far removed from school life. According to court filings, prosecutors claim the acts occurred in places that should have been safest. In a classroom, at Formella's home, spaces where an adult's authority went unquestioned, spaces where the imbalance of power was total. Prosecutors allege that the abuse occurred dozens of times, more than 40, each instance representing not just a crime, but a failure of protection. When cases like this come to light, the focus often shifts to the numbers, charges, counts, statutes. But behind every charge is a moment. Behind every count is an impact. The victim in this case was a child navigating adolescence while being manipulated by someone entrusted with his care. And that reality sits at the center of this story. The criminal charges against Christina Formella are extensive. Prosecutors have filed more than 50 felony counts. These include charges related to aggravated criminal sexual abuse, grooming, and misconduct involving a minor. Each charge reflects a different alleged act, a different alleged violation, a different moment where the state argues that trust was weaponized. The sheer volume of charges underscores the seriousness of the allegations. This is not a case built on a single encounter. It is a case built on a pattern. As the investigation unfolded, authorities began reconstructing the timeline. They examined communication records. They reviewed witness statements. They analyzed the dynamics of the teacher-student relationship. Prosecutors argue that Formella's access to the victim was not incidental. It was structural. She saw him regularly. She had authority over his education. She had influence over his daily routine. This, the state argues, created the conditions for sustained abuse. One of the most disturbing aspects of cases involving educators is the way institutional trust can delay discovery. Teachers are expected to maintain boundaries. Schools rely on professional ethics. Parents trust systems that are meant to safeguard children. When those systems fail, the consequences are devastating. In this case, the alleged abuse continued over an extended period before coming to the attention of authorities. That delay is not uncommon. Victims often struggle to come forward, especially when the abuser is someone respected, someone with power, someone embedded in their daily life. When the allegations finally surfaced, the response was swift. Formella was removed from her position. Law enforcement became involved. The case moved into the criminal justice system. But accountability in the courtroom is slow, and for victims, waiting can be its own form of trauma. As the case entered the pretrial phase, prosecutors laid out their strategy. They emphasized the grooming process. They highlighted the imbalance of power. They underscored the victim's age and vulnerability. The defense, meanwhile, has maintained Formella's innocence. As is standard, she is presumed innocent under the law unless proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. This principle is fundamental to the justice system, but it does not erase the seriousness of the allegations. The court proceedings have been deliberate, motions filed, evidence reviewed, hearings scheduled and rescheduled. For the public, this can be frustrating. For the victim, it can be exhausting. Justice does not move at the pace of pain. It moves at the pace of procedure. As the months passed, the case remained in the public eye, not because of spectacle, but because of its implications. This was not just about one teacher. It was about institutional responsibility, about safeguarding students, about recognizing grooming behaviors before they escalate. It raised questions that extend far beyond one courtroom. Special education environments require heightened vigilance. Students may have communication challenges. They may struggle with social cues. They may be more reliant on adult guidance. That makes ethical conduct not just important, but essential. Any breach of that trust carries amplified harm. Prosecutors have emphasized that this case is about accountability. They argue that authority figures must be held to the highest standard, that power over minors comes with absolute responsibility, and that when that responsibility is violated, the law must respond decisively. As of now, the case continues to move through the DuPage County court system. There have been delays, there have been procedural developments, there have been updates, but no final resolution. These cases rarely conclude quickly. They require careful examination of evidence. They require legal precision. They require time. While the legal process unfolds, the broader conversation continues about grooming, about reporting mechanisms, about how institutions respond when allegations arise. These conversations are uncomfortable, but necessary. Because silence benefits abusers and awareness protects potential victims, it is important to remember that this case is not entertainment. It is not a headline to be consumed and forgotten. It is a real person, a real child, a real set of allegations that have already altered lives. Responsible coverage means centering the harm without amplifying trauma. For the victim, the path forward is deeply personal. Healing does not follow a legal timeline. It does not wait for verdicts. Support systems matter. Validation matters. Being believed matters. For the community, this case serves as a reminder that authority should always be questioned when boundaries are crossed. That discomfort should never be dismissed. That safeguarding children is a collective responsibility. For the justice system, this case represents a test of whether power can be held accountable, a test of whether victims are heard, a test of whether trust, once broken, can be addressed with integrity. As we wait for the outcome, one truth remains clear: positions of trust do not grant immunity, they increase responsibility. And when that responsibility is abused, the consequences ripple far beyond one individual. This story is not over. The court will decide guilt or innocence. The evidence will be weighed. The law will take its course. But regardless of the verdict, the impact of these allegations is already real. If there is one lesson to carry forward, it is this: protection requires vigilance. Trust requires boundaries, and silence must never outweigh safety. This has been the case of Christina Formella, a story that forces us to confront uncomfortable truths about power, trust, and accountability, and a reminder that justice, while slow, must remain unwavering. Because classrooms should never become crime scenes, and children should never pay the price for adult misconduct.